We just hired a chief happiness officer and signed a lease with catering. This comes down to how many startups to get a little bit of funding, they make some revenue, and they start spending like a unicorn.
Yep. I wish I could parachute in as CFO of a day of every newly funded company
Oh yeah.
and just have a pep talk. And here's how that pep talk would go, Ed. This is the last money you'll ever see.
Good one.
let's
Yep.
let's begin with that. This isn't the start of more money. Statistically, this is the end of the road right here, right? Statistically, you will not raise another round of capital, okay? So the whole idea that we'll sign big office lease, this is just the beginning, et cetera, it sounds awesome. And if that does happen, great. It won't statistically, right? And this isn't me trying to be negative. This is me. It reminds me of if I were a sports agent and I were signing people to to the NFL, let's say, my first answer or conversation when I sign them would be like, just know this is the last check you will ever see,
Yeah.
right? And like, what do you mean? I just signed this huge contract. Maybe, maybe statistically it won't be, right? And so what I try to coach folks is if you treat every dollar raised as the last dollar you'll ever see, you treat it way differently. You treat it way differently. And when it becomes the last dollar you'll ever see, you'll feel way different. I've never met a founder that said, I wish I spent money faster.
Yeah. I got two stories. I know a guy who works with a guy who goes in to the NBA and talks to rookies after the draft
Yep.
and gives that pep talk. But here's what he does. He puts up a slide, multiple slides, and says, okay, here's your new car. Here are the parties you go to. Here's your girlfriend. Here's your new kid. And then here is what they're all going to cost you. And at the end of the day, here's what you have left on your paycheck, right?
Yep.
And unfortunately, most still don't listen, which is
Of course you don't.
insane.
You can't learn the lesson until you've already learned the lesson.
Absolutely. And, the other thing that founders do is they go, well, okay, I'm not going to invest in the sleep pods and the beanbag chairs and the ping pong tables, but I need to hire a bunch of engineers. Like we have to ramp up and all these things. And so it's still that mentality of we need to start appearing much bigger than we really are. And I had the gentleman who ran the family office who ended up buying my company. He was a billionaire, right? Just managing gads of money, just gross amounts of money. Said, Ed, access to capital leads to undisciplined decisions. And I'll never forget that.
Yep. And all the while, like the company is expanding like crazy, but the founder is not, right?
Yeah.
All these people are getting paid all these money and all these is sowing all these gifts, and the founder is like just getting crushed by the cap table. Like they're not enjoying the fruits of any of those labors. I'll give you one example. Years and years ago, I'm in San Francisco meeting with a friend of mine, and he's just a phenomenal guy. He and a couple co-founders started a massive, massive company that everyone here has heard of. I don't want to say because it was incompetence, but it did like $50 billion in sales. He and I are in their executive cafeteria. I'm sorry, their cafeteria, not their executive cafeteria, just their regular cafeteria. And he's like, Will, we feed over 1,000 people a day in this cafeteria, like an average price of like $60 a person. Right?
Oh, ouch.
Okay, hold on. It's in San Francisco, but even still.
Okay.
He's like, so I'm spending $60,000 every lunch. I'm spending $60,000 every lunch we have, right? And this is just one office. That company would become huge. He said, meanwhile, I'm getting married in the spring. I can't afford my wedding.
Oh.
Right? Think about that for a second. He's basically, I mean, depending on how you do your weddings, he's spending for a wedding every single day for all these people, but he personally can't even afford his own wedding. And the reason I say this as it relates to all of this stuff is there's no version where he was like, man, we should spend some more money. Like this is going well. He got himself on a train and it got crazy. Now, fortunately, they had a massive IPO. They did very well, but it took like 10 years to get there. I've never seen someone who regretted saying I was too disciplined. I've never seen that.
Here we are.